Hey guys, this morning, just in my time of reflection, and the subject I wanted to share on uh, is city versus country. City life versus country life, and different cultural differences, not just comparing those two, but also just in general. Um, and I'm sharing on this topic because it has been helpful for me in life to progress and to grow uh, and be mature by being exposed to different things, right? So, like I said, I grew up in a suburb. It was pretty well diversified. People from all different parts of the world. Uh, I grew up in New Jersey, New Jersey in the United States, about 40 minutes outside of New York City. So, of course, in that area, you get people migrating from all over the world, and then you get second generation, third generation Americans, etc. My origins, my family comes from Italy, a couple generations prior, and I'm second, third generation American. But I'm speaking on that. So first, growing up in New York City, and I'm sharing this because I think it's wisdom. It's wisdom, and it gives you healthy perspective to embrace different cultures and to experience different areas of the country. Obviously, I live in the United States, so I'm speaking from that perspective. But this applies globally, and not just knowing people from the United States, but just the principle of knowing people from different places and how different cultures have different perspectives, but at the end, how we are all the same, and but there are mental barriers that become that prohibit people from embracing different perspectives at their own peril. When you refuse, or when you have a mental barrier because you're not used to something, you don't know something, so you make a generalization and then you just refuse to embrace something different, you suffer because of it. Your growth suffers because of it. Now, we all make generalizations, and we all have our own ways of thinking. So I don't like to be unrealistic, but what I'm saying is, I know, as I look back on my life and as I get older, one of the reasons that I've been able to progress in life and move forward mentally, and being somewhat mature, is that God has always given me that grace where I embrace different perspectives, and some of it, whether it's traveling or whether it's meeting people from different areas that have different viewpoints. I embrace that to a certain extent, with the understanding there's a universal language of asshole. I don't care you're born in a city. I don't care if you're born in a country. I don't care what part of this planet you're from. There is a universal, I don't care what culture you come from, there is a universal asshole language. Now, excuse my language, but come on. We know this. But it's a good thing to know that. Because when you know that, you don't look at just one, oh, everybody from the city is a jerk. Oh, everybody from the country is, a country bumpkin, or everybody from this, when you just realize that, look, there are just some a-holes no matter what part of the world or what part of the country or where their origins are from. When you embrace that, then you can take down a mental barrier. Then when you embrace that someone else with a different perspective has something to add to my knowledge, has something to add to my betterment, you also break down another mental barrier for growth. Diversity, understanding, that regardless of origins, regardless of city, somebody lives in a city, there is a very urban environment, or somebody lives in a country, is a very rural environment, or somebody's from a different part of the world, or somebody's from a different religion, or somebody's from a different race, or somebody's from a different part of the culture, right? You could be Italian, but some people from Sicily, don't like people from Naples, and you can be, Puerto Rican, and some people from Puerto Rico, don't like people from Argentina, So it's like breaking down stereotypes and mental barriers will open your mind to a whole nother level of maturity, growth, and being able to relate to others. And that's why this is key. Being able to relate and to have a dialogue with others is a blessing. It's a blessing. You know, and it's I've seen so many people in life harm themselves for ignorant reasons, not wanting to embrace something different. And I don't even mean like in a real negative way, like it's like I'm not talking about deep-rooted racism, and I'm not talking about deep-rooted stereotypes of, this person's a country, hillbilly, or this person's a city, Yankee, or have it. I'm not talking about, it doesn't have to be, somebody so mean that, it's obvious that, they're ruining their life. I'm talking about just a person that is so used to their own way that they were brought and thought, you make pasta, you're from Italy, this is how you make pasta, this is how you make sauce, and that's it. That's the way your grandmother did it, that's the way you did it, and that's it. I mean, it's like, maybe a Chinese person has a better way of doing something from an Italian, cooking pasta than an Italian person does. You know what I'm saying? It's like, don't be prideful. Here's the other key. In my opinion, in my perspective. Don't be prideful in your culture. Don't be prideful in your culture. What does that mean? If you're Italian, which I am, don't think that Italian flag, we're the best, and you should be lucky. We're all Italian. Everybody wants to be Italian. Or if you're Puerto Rican, everybody wants to be Puerto Rican. Or if you're Chinese, Chinese is the best. They're the best. Embrace your heritage and culture. But that pridefulness of thinking it makes you maybe a little bit better. I've seen this with my own family members. There's somewhat pridefulness in the Italian heritage, and I never kind of bought into it. I don't know. Maybe it was just the grace of God, but to me, I always look like I got no problem being Italian. I'm thankful for being Italian, and but I just never really bought into there's not a difference, right? A Chinese person, Italian person. To me, again, I always, God bless me with that. I always kind of just look at, is this person cool? As far as can we get along, and do they treat me right, and do I treat them right, and do we vibe? And that's all I really cared about. I really didn't care about any of that other crap, even with religion for the most part. Now, certainly when I was very young, I wanted to hang out with the cool kids, so I always, because you're just young, you're immature, and so I always tried to act like, I always tried to, basically just, I caved to peer pressure at times and just tried to embrace any group that I was with, as far as, you try to be like people, but even that, I never sold my soul. I was always at the essence me. Certainly did foolish things, and I certainly sometimes acted immaturely, but that's part of youth, so you can't beat yourself up for that. But what I'm saying is, I've seen many people go through life all the way to their eldest years, and they don't embrace differences. Now, certainly you're not going to get along with people, again, so, some people come from a different mindset, whether it's, for whatever reason, where they grew up, their religion or whatever, and nothing you can do about that. But, I've got along with everybody as far as the race, religion, and again, good people, bad people, and everything, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. We disagree maybe on some technicalities of thinking and understanding, but I kick it with hang out with anybody, any race, religion, any culture. Doesn't bother me as long as we vibe. That being said, I don't want to just ramble. Once you experience different things, and that's the value of somewhat traveling, but also somewhat conversating. I would say even more so, right? Because you could travel, but you can stay in your own isolated bubble. And there's nothing wrong with that either if you're a loner. Some people are just naturally more loners. having conversations, having dialogue with good people, not just have dialogue with anybody just because you want to try to get along with everybody. Having dialogue with good people, you will realize, because no matter where you're at, city, country, this place, that person, you should always, just try to surround yourself with positive people. But having dialogue with various people, there will be moments in the conversation where you will pick up different insights and a different level of understanding on their perspective. And then this mental barrier of a preconceived notion of what somebody else from another part of the country or another part of the world or from another background, that barrier will come down. Conversations with positive people, and sprinkling, there's going to be some negative along the way, but if you try to surround yourself by just positive people, you're going to realize there's positive people from every different parts of the world, from every different parts of the country, from different parts of the city, from different parts of religions, from different parts of races, and there's that universal a-hole language that doesn't matter where they come from. They come from the heart of New York City, or they can come from deep south, Alabama. It doesn't matter. These guys, you don't want to hang out with these guys because they're just a-holes. But from that same part in New York City, from that same part in Alabama, on that same street, there could be just a beautiful person with a great spirit that if you begin to put up a mental barrier that this person from this area, from this type of background is this type of mindset, you do it at your own harm. You know what I mean? You do it at your own harm. You're going to stunt your growth, not just because you want to, be I get along with everybody United Nations guy, but from your own growth. I'm talking about self-growth is what I'm talking about. Self-growth begins the moment that you can understand other people's perspective while still maintaining the essence of who you are and not trying to force who you are on other people. One of the most beautiful things of life is when you can let somebody else be them. Again, we're talking about, not talking about a-holes. I'm talking about just good people. Let somebody else be them, and you can be you. And if you guys are getting along and treating each other right, you've experienced one of the best things of life. And you only experience that when you don't generalize to the extent of putting up barriers between different levels of understanding. Oh, I won't travel here. I won't do this. I won't talk to this. Those barriers are harmful to you. Personal, business, life, everything. Because you're a narrow-minded person. And that all feeds into the sarcasm. It all feeds into stubbornness. It all feeds into everything. And so that's just what I want to share. I don't care, city, country, you come from this place, that place. Don't be prideful in where you come from. Don't be, stubborn and, this is the best, that's the best. Embrace your culture, but embrace the fact that, we're all just human to the extent, and, we're all just, for the most part, trying to do the best we can. And that's it. That's all I have to share. Stay inspired.